natural science involving study of matter in space x, y, z and with respect to time t. There are many types of physics, modern, classical, quantum. But what is the relationship between them? How did they evolve? And what does this say? There's plenty of rooms at the bottom.
Who is Schrödinger? Why is Schrödinger's equations important? What are all the Schrödinger's derivations? What are all its applications? And what is the conclusion out of it? This all will be covered in this video.
Physics. What is physics? Physics is all about what we see in our day-to-day life. For example, fan, laptop, all involves physics. Let us now see how physics evolved from classical into quantum. Classical mechanics involves bulk particles, whereas quantum mechanics involves smaller particles. The basic part of classical mechanics is Newton's laws. First law states about inertia, and second law states about F is equal to ma. Third law states about equal and opposite reactions. Then there comes thermodynamics into picture. After thermodynamics, physics was divided into furthermore two topics called electromagnetics and magnetostatics. Then Maxwell proved that they both are interrelated through his four equations. Then he stated that light is an EM wave through which quantum mechanics arises.
We started moving from classical to quantum mechanics because the Young's double-slit experiment proved that light had bare nature. And then, but J.J. Thomson believed in only classical physics, but his son John Thomson believed in quantum mechanics. So, to end this conflict, physicists around the world just said that light had both dual properties, that had bare as well as photon properties. Then in 1926, Schrödinger came up with an equation which was produced in an international journal, which helped us to understand the particle behavior of light with wave-like properties. And that equation was solved given a method of eigenvalues, which is proposed here.
Russia, a place of art, music and culture. But did you know about a very famous scientist who came from this country?
Erwin Schrödinger was born on 12th August 1887 nearby Vienna, Austria. He was a Nobel Prize winning Austrian physicist who developed a number of fundamental results in the field of quantum theory, which led to the development of wave mechanics. He also formulated a wave equation famously known as Schrödinger wave equation. He is famous for his Schrödinger cat-thought expression.
Schrödinger equation is the basic fundamental equation of the quantum mechanics. But when you see the Schrödinger equation, it is basically a complex linear differential equation in terms of wave function. So a very obvious question comes, why do we need a Schrödinger equation? Well, when you see in classical mechanics, there is Newton's law. Newton's law are used to find basically the various aspects of the mechanical system. Similarly, in quantum mechanics, we use Schrödinger equation to find the various aspects of the quantum mechanical system. So you can say that Schrödinger equation is the analog of the Newton's law in quantum mechanics system. So for example, Schrödinger equations are used to find various aspects of the quantum mechanical system. For example, it is used to find the various allowed energy level of quantum mechanics system. So basically, what is a Schrödinger equation? Schrödinger equation is a linear differential equation in terms of wave function, which when solved gives various aspects. For example, it gives the probability distribution of the subatomic particles like electrons or atoms. So it gives statically and analytically and statically and precisely give the distribution of subatomic particle. But to solve the Schrödinger equation, you need various mathematical abilities. So there is a need for higher mathematical abilities. So enjoy solving the Schrödinger equation.
For Schrödinger's time-independent equation, we consider a particle of mass m associated with psi, that is the wave function, and the wave velocity v. So the differential equation of a moving particle can be put as d2 psi by dx2 plus d2 psi by dy2 plus d2 psi by dz2 is equal to 1 by v square d2 y by dt2, where v is the wave velocity as mentioned above. So solving the differential equation of a moving particle, we obtain psi as a function of x, y, z and time, which is equal to psi naught e to the power minus iota omega t, which can also be written independently as psi is equal to psi naught e to the power minus I omega t. Differentiating the equation obtained with respect to t, we get d psi by dt is equal to minus iota omega psi naught e to the power minus omega t. Now differentiating this equation again with respect to t, we get d2 psi by dt2 as iota square omega square psi e to the power minus iota omega t. Now we just obtained the expression for psi e to the power minus omega t as of here, where it was equal to psi. So substituting it back here and putting the value of I square as minus 1, we obtain d2 psi by dt2 as minus omega square psi, where omega is the angular velocity and mu is the frequency. So we know this relation beforehand, that omega is equal to 2 pi n, where n is the frequency. So substituting it, we get omega is equal to 2 pi v by lambda, where v is the velocity and lambda is the wavelength. So substituting the equation 4 in equation 1.
d square psi by dt square, d square psi by dy square, plus d square psi by dz square is equals to minus of 1 upon v square omega square psi. So we have del square is equals to d square by dx square plus d square by dy square plus d square by dz square, which is the Laplacian operator which can be substituted into the Laplacian equation. So del square psi is equals to minus of 1 upon mu square omega square psi. After we substitute our fifth equation, which we found here, into our equation number 7, we get del square psi is equals to minus of 4 pi square by lambda square psi, which will be our equation number 8. So lambda will, as we know, lambda is equals to h upon mass into velocity, which is our equation number 9. And so our equation becomes del square psi plus 4 pi square m square v square divided by n square into into psi is equals to 0. After this, if the total energy of particle is E and a potential energy is V, so as we all know, the total energy is the sum of the kinetic energy and the potential energy, so which is half of mv square plus this as the potential energy. Substituting this, we get twice of E minus V, which is the total energy minus potential energy, is equals to m square v square, which will be our equation number 11. Substituting this equation number 11 into equation number 10, we get del square psi plus 4 pi square upon h square into 8 pi n into twice of E minus V into psi is equals to 0, which will be del square psi plus 8 pi square mass into E minus V divided by h square into psi, which is equals to 0. And after substituting equation 11 into equation number 10, we have del square psi plus 4 pi square by h square into m into E minus V plus twice of E minus V into psi is equals to 0. Our next equation becomes del square psi plus 8 pi square into m into E minus V divided by h square into psi is equals to 0. Calculating it into the simplest form, we have del square into psi plus 2 times of mass E minus V upon h bar whole square into psi is equals to 0. This is our whole derivation for Schrodinger's time independent equation.
Independent Schrodinger wave equation. On behalf of what you have seen till now, I think that you know about this psi function. And this psi is nothing but a wave function. Actually, it's a complex quantity. So when I'm saying that it's a complex quantity, then you should know that it doesn't have any definite physical meaning. So what we will do now that this psi function can be represented as psi naught into e to the power minus I omega t. Now we will differentiate it partially with respect to time and we will get the result d phi by dt equals to minus I omega psi naught e to the power minus I omega t. And now on the next part I would like to explain you about this E. This E is nothing but the summation of kinetic energy and potential energy. It's total energy and it's equivalent to h bar into omega. And you should also know that h bar is nothing but h upon 2 pi. And we will use this equation in our previous equation and we will get the result d phi by dt equals to minus I e by h bar psi. So on transformation we will get this as e into psi equals to I h bar d psi by dt.
Schrodinger time independent wave equation is del square psi is square by h bar square into e minus v psi equals to 0. So now we will substitute the values of the equation 1 to this equation and we will get this new equation which would say del square psi plus 2 by h bar square into I h bar d psi by dt minus when we will modify it, we'll get the famous time-dependent Schrodinger wave equation, which says minus h bar square by 2l into del square psi plus b psi is equal to I h bar d psi by dt. This is the time-dependent Schrodinger wave equation. And I would like to add a little more information in it, where this thing minus h bar square by 2m into del square plus b is nothing but h or Hamiltonian, and also the I h bar d del by del t operates on psi, which gives E. And this equation of time dependent Schrodinger wave equation can be written as h psi is equal to E psi, which is the Hamiltonian form of the Schrodinger time dependent equation.
Box is simply a particle in free space with constant kinetic energy bouncing back and forth between two walls in one dimension. No forces act upon the particle. A large classical ball, no matter how fast it moves, can always have its position and momentum well defined. Although a small classical ball is hard to locate with our eyes. When it moves fast, we can build equipment to locate it and also know its momentum, because the particle is classical. A quantum particle in a small box has both particle and wave properties. Now here, three states of a quantum particle in a box are shown. Since it has both wave and particle properties, the particle is spread over the whole box. The ends are fixed because the particle must stop and reverse when it hits the wall. If the wave does not end at the wall, then destructive interference would occur and the particle would not
box, also known as infinite potential well and infinite square well, describes a particle which is free to move and is restricted by impenetrable barriers. Basically, particle in 1D box is an hypothetical example in order to differentiate between classical and quantum mechanics. So starting with particle in 1D box, we are considering a particle of mass m which is placed inside a box which is called 1D box, and having the width of the box equal to a. Now the assumption we have to make is to assume that the particle is free to move inside the well, that is from x is equal to 0 to x is equal to a, and the motion of the particle is restricted by the walls of the potential well. Now we have to follow the two assumptions in order to derive our equation for particle in 1D box. The very first assumption is we have to assume the potential difference of the particle inside the potential wall is very low, or we can say that the potential energy is 0 inside the wall. And the very second one is the potential energy of the particle at the barriers is infinite. So these are the two assumptions. Now, the derivation part, we know the time independent Schrodinger wave equation for the region 2 is d2 psi by dx square plus 2m upon h square into e minus b psi is equal to 0. So let that equation to be the very first equation. Now for freely moving particle, potential energy is equal to 0. Now substituting this to the very first equation, we get d2 psi by dx square plus 2m upon h cross square e psi is equal to 0. Now we are considering the part 2m upon h cross square into e as a constant called k square. Now using the constant, we got the equation d2 psi by dx square plus k square psi is equal to 0. Let that to be the fourth equation. Now for the solution of the equation, we have to consider the Schrodinger wave equation as a sin kx plus b cos kx, as it is representing a wave, and the coefficients a and b are arbitrary and free space. Now applying the boundary conditions at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to a, we got the psi, which is also known as the Schrodinger wave function of the point at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to a is 0. This is because psi basically represents the probability of finding the particle in a cloud, and we basically knew that the probability of finding the particle at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to a is 0. So now we have to apply the boundary conditions at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to a. So first applying the boundary conditions at x is equal to 0 in equation 5, we get psi of 0 is equal to a sin k0 plus b cos k0. And we got b is equal to 0, this is because the value of sin 0 is 0. So we got the value of one of our arbitrary constants, that is b is equal to 0, and let that to be the sixth equation. Now applying the second boundary condition, that is at x is equal to 0, we got the equation 5 as psi of a is equal to a sin ka plus b cos ka, which is equal to a sin ka, because we have already found out the value of b. So we got a sin ka. Now in equation, let that to be the seventh equation. So in equation 7, either a is equal to 0 or sin ka is equal to 0. but we know that amplitude never would be equal to 0. So automatically we got the term as when k is equal to 0, and therefore it should take the values at k is equal to 0, pi, 2 pi and 3 pi like that. And k is equal to n pi, so we got the value of k is equal to n pi by a, where a basically represents the width of the ball. Equation 6 and 8 in equation 5 we get psi of x is equal to a sine n pi by x, likely to be the ninth equation. Now there are two arbitrary constants which we have discussed in the very early. The one is a and the other is b. We have already found out the value of b, which is equal to 0. Now the value of a needs to be found, and for finding the value of a we need normalizing conditions. That is integration 0 to a psi star psi dx is equal to 1. This is known as normalizing condition, or we can write in place of that 0 to a integration mod of psi square dx is equal to 1. Basically mod of psi square is known as probability density, and let it to be the equation 10. Now the equation will become 0 to a square sine square n pi x by 8 dx is equal to 1. On solving this equation we get this. So basically a square by 2 into x, from limits 0 to a we get 1. Basically we get directly on the value a square is equal to 2 by a, or a is equal to root 2 by a. Let it to be the 11th equation. Now the equation 9 becomes with the value of a as psi of x is equal to under root 2 by a sine n by x by a. This is also known as Huygens function. Now particle in 1D box also tells us about the nature of psi or the energies. So quantization of energy using the equation 2m upon h cross square into E is equal to k square and k is equal to n pi by a. When we solve this, we would get the equation 2me upon h cross square is equal to n square pi square upon a square as. This represents the energy level for the quantum numbers, that is En is equal to n square pi square h cross square upon 2mn square, where n represents the quantum numbers. This can take the values as 1, 2 and 3, and basically the Schrodinger wave function, which is also known as psi, proves that energy is always discrete in nature in quantum mechanics. So that's why we are dealing with the quantum numbers like n is equal to 1, 2, 3 as packets of quantas.
Now this is the second application of the Schrodinger wave equation, particle in 3D box. We have considered a box, 3D rigid box with a dimension a in all the directions. We have considered a particle of mass m and energy E, which is kept inside the box. Inside the box is similar to 1D box, V is 0 inside the box and V is infinity outside the box. Here is the energy expression, which is equal to the sum of energy in all directions, Ex plus Ey plus Ez, which is equal to the momentum of the energy by divided by the mass. The three quantum numbers will be required: Exx, Eyy, Ez. We have calculated this is equal to h square. Exx is equal to x cross square pi square and x square by 2ma square, and Eyy equal to h cross pi square into ny square by 2ma square. Ez equal to h cross pi square 2ma square into nz square, where nx, ny and nz are the quantum numbers equal to the total energy of the particle inside the box is pi square h cross square by 2ma square nx square plus ny square plus nz square. We have calculated the energy here. Now we are calculating the wave function as psi of x, y, z in all the three directions are given as. Similarly, in the 1D box, psi of x by given by a sine and x pi x by a. In the 3D box, these expressions show the wave function in 3D box. After applying the normalized condition, we get the value of a as 2 by a power 3 by 2, and this is the resultant wave function substituting the value of a.
So, tunneling effect. We are going to study about the tunneling effect in this part. What is tunneling effect? Before knowing about the tunneling effect, we have to first know about the classical mechanics part. In classical mechanics, what it happens, any particle of mass m having energy E does not penetrate through the potential barrier of V0. It actually bounces back to the previous part. But in quantum mechanics, the particle of mass m and having energy E just penetrates through the potential barrier even if the energy E is less than V0 and get passed to the next region. Figure 1 we can see the diagram of the tunneling effect. Here the mass m, particle having mass m and energy E just having a motion in the region 1, this is the region 1, and goes to the region 2. It just penetrates, even having the mass E less than V0, it just penetrates and goes to the region 3. But what happens to the amplitude of the wave function? The wave function of the particle just decreases. It decreases exponentially. The wave function decreases exponentially in the region 2 and get fast to the region 3. But what is actually the potential barrier? It is the term which just restricts a particle, moving particle to pass from one region to another region. See, we can see in the figure 2. Let us consider a particle of mass m and energy E. Okay? Then we see this is a potential field from x equal to 0 to x equal to a. This potential field can be collectively called as potential barrier. So now what? From x less than 0 to x greater than a, the value of the potential barrier means V0 is really 0. But in the region x equal to 0 to x equal to a, the value of potential barrier will be V0. If the value of E0 will be less than V0, then the particle is simply penetrates through the from following region 1 to region 2 and region 3, but the amplitude will decrease. But what happens if the energy of the particle is more than the V0? The particle will just simply come through this path. It will not penetrate through the region. It will just overlap, jump and come through 1 to region 3 directly. Now the most important two keys are there in the tunnel effect. The two terms, reflection coefficient and transmission coefficient. The reflection coefficient R is equal to 1 plus 4e V0 minus E by V0 square sin x square alpha A inverse. So here E is the energy of particle and V0 is the potential barrier. And sin x is the angle of sine wave. And what is transmission coefficient? Transmission coefficient T is equal to 1 plus V0 square, same potential barrier, sin x square alpha A. E is the energy of particle, V0 E. Here alpha is the rate of decay. The exponential decrease in the amplitude is shown by the alpha. And the correlation between the transmission coefficient and reflection coefficient are R plus T equal to 1. The summation of both these magnitude will give the value 1.
Tunneling microscope. It works on the principle of quantum tunneling effect. Then a question arises, what is a quantum tunneling effect? Suppose if the energy of the particle is E and the potential barrier is V and energy of particle is less than the energy of potential barrier, then according to classic mechanics, energy particle cannot come out of this potential barrier. But in quantum mechanics, it has a finite chance of coming out of the potential barrier, and this effect is known as quantum tunneling effect. Thus, it works on the principle of quantum tunneling effect. Then construction and design of STM consists of a tiny wire whose tip is fine, almost a single atom width of 2 nanometers. This atomic acts as a probe. This is held over the surface of the specimen at a distance about 1 nanometer above the surface. The tip is so close to the surface that the electron cloud of atoms at the tip of the probe of nearest atoms on the surface of the specimen overlap. When the probe is given, the potential electric from the atom of the specimen tunnel through the gap to reach the probe and generate a weak tunneling current. The probe is then scanned over the surface of the specimen in ratter position pattern. The variation in tunneling current gives image of the surface of the atom and specimen.
Microscope, it is the application of tunneling effect. So there are two modes for it, constant height mode and constant current mode. In the constant height mode, the height of the probe is kept constant, and when it scans the molecules of the specimen, the tunneling current, as you can see here, it varies. So in the second case, that is the constant current mode, the height is varied and the tunneling current is kept constant. So the current which is flowing is exponentially related with the distance between the probe and the specimen, and when the distance is 0.1 nanometer, then the current changes by the factor of 10. So disadvantages of it is the surface should not be contaminated, and the limitation of scanning tunneling microscope is that the surface should be conducting enough for the current flow. So the uses of STM is, it provides a 3D profile which helps us to note the surface roughness and the contamination in the specimen.
Say hi. This side. Okay, we have discussed numerous applications of the Schrodinger's equation like particle in a 1D box, tunneling effect, etc. The tunneling effect can be visualized in the following manner such that if a ball is made to roll up a hill, according to classical mechanics, it will not have enough energy to cross the top of the hill. It will roll back and fall down. But according to quantum mechanics, even if the ball has little energy, there is a small probability that it can cross the other side and move from the top of the hill. Okay. There are numerous applications of Schrodinger's equation, such as discretization of the energy levels in hydrogen atom. This is seen through atomic spectroscopy. Okay, now I'll be talking about another aspect. Like, for example, if I throw down an object, or if an object is moved, knowing the initial conditions of the object, it is possible to determine the final conditions such as position and momentum. However, in quantum mechanics, this is not possible because of the smallest change in displacement makes a lot of difference. However, it is possible to determine the probability where there is a greater chance of existence of the particle. So this is very useful in the orbital concept of chemistry, this is the 1s orbital where there is a greater chance of existence of the electrons, and then the 2s and p orbitals where there is a chance of existence on either sides. Actually, this is given by the amplitude of the wave function, amplitude of the square of the wave function, and the wave function is the solution of the Schrodinger's equation. Now, coming to the quantum well, what is quantum well is that it is actually a potential well which has discrete energy levels. The object present in it will not have enough energy to cross the well and come out. You can imagine it to be like a frog that is present inside a jar with a very, which is very high, so that it cannot jump. This confinement of the particle inside the potential well gives it many useful properties, which will be discussed later. Actually, in reality, how this can be obtained is by sandwiching a material of lower band gap between a material of higher band gap, so that the material of lower band gap will not have enough energy to move and combine with the other particles. So this is so an imaginary well can be thought to be assumed over here, and now this becomes a quantum particle with many useful properties.
Schrodinger's cat, a thought experiment devised by Erwin Schrödinger in order to explain the flawed interpretation of quantum superposition. The Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics essentially states that an object in a physical system can simultaneously exist in all possible configurations, but observing the system forces the system to collapse and forces the object to convert into one of those possible states. Schrödinger disagreed with this interpretation. Schrödinger wanted people to imagine that an apparatus containing just one nitrogen-13 atom and a detector that will respond when the atom decays. Connected to the detector is a relay who is then connected to a hammer, and when the atom decays, the relay releases the hammer, which then falls on a glass vial containing poisonous gas. We take the entire apparatus, put it in a box. We also place a cat in the box, close the lid and wait for 10 minutes. The big question here is what happens to the cat? Until the system collapses into one configuration, the cat would exist in some superposition zombie state of being both alive and dead. Of course, Schrödinger claimed that was ridiculous. Quantum superposition could not work with large objects such as cat because it is impossible for an organism to be simultaneously alive and dead. Thus, he reasoned that the Copenhagen interpretation must be inherently flawed. There are many successful experiments involving similar principles, such as superpositions of relatively large objects have been performed. These experiments do not show that a cat-sized object can be superposed, but the known upper limit on cat states has been pushed upward by them. In many cases, state is short-lived even when cooled to near absolute zero.
Hi everybody, so now we are going to see applications of quantum field. Basically, there are two main applications of quantum field: fractional absorbers and thermoelectric devices. Fractional absorbers. Quantum bells can be fabricated in such a way that they can act as fractional absorbers. These are used in locking lasers. The second is thermoelectrical devices. Thermoelectrical devices are basically used to harvest electrical energy. Its fabrication is very simple and it can give the required potential at room temperature. So this quantum well is designed in such a way that it is connected to a cavity and two reservoirs. This cavity is of higher temperature than the reservoirs. So this cavity basically acts as a filter where electrons pass through from the cavity to the reservoir. So greater is the temperature difference between the cavity and the reservoir, more the electrons that eigenvalues of this Schrodinger equation, wave equation, is equal to the energy levels of the quantum mechanical system. Schrodinger equation forms the basis for the quantum physics and is a very simple differential equation. It is actually analog of Newton's law in classical mechanics, classical physics. So it basically has 4 applications of Schrodinger equation. The main 4 are the quantization, total energy, uncertainty and tunneling, which gave us a very big breakthrough. So yeah, thank you.